Chris Anson, and in this video I'm going to show you how to take a landscape and add sun rays to it. This is the original image that I took on the Wenatchee River in north central Washington. And you can see we have the sun coming from the left and rays hitting the houses and the foliage along the river here, lighting things up. So let's take a look at what I did with this image and how the sun rays filter helped to recreate more of what I experienced there and perhaps enhanced it even a bit more. So in the raw develop filter, the only thing I changed was I changed the temperature to 5350 and the tint to -3. So now let's take a look at tone. I'm going to expand it and I'm going to turn it on. And you can see that the only thing I changed in here was smart tone. With things like smart tone, accent AI, and AI sky enhancer, there's a lot you can do with these automated AI tools to get you to a really satisfying image much more quickly. So in this case, I'm going to double click on smart tone to reset it to 0. And then I'm going to use the Command Z key on the keyboard to undo that. So that's the first step, is I use smart tone to bring back highlights and shadows and saturation and color using the advanced features of that particular slider. Now, moving on to Accent AI filter, I'm going to expand that. I'm going to activate it. And this was the next step. Let me go ahead and zero that out. That's before, and that's after. Now let's take a look at the AI sky enhancer. And this one's really subtle. I only applied 7 to that. You're not going to see a lot of changes until I get further down. There's not a lot going on in the sky in this photograph. Now the next thing that I did is I added golden hour. Let's turn that on. And you can see how that looks. Now let me go ahead and turn that off. That's before, and that's after. And you may be thinking, well, that seems like that's a little too much, but let's keep going. Now let's take a look at sun rays. And here, I'm going to go ahead and turn that on, and you can see how that is helping to recreate that sun on the left and bring some subtle rays across the screen to light up the areas that are actually lit in the original photograph. And it also did a nice job in getting some more sun showing on the hillside. So let's go ahead and let's zero all these out so you can see what each change did. And so that's the default area when I bring the sun rays filter in. If for some reason you aren't sure where that is, if you go to Add Filters and type Sun, you'll see that you get golden hour and sun rays. If you click on it, it'll put another copy at the bottom of my filters. And I'm going to go ahead and open that, and I'm going to click on the X and delete it. Okay, back to sun rays. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the X position that I chose for this, and then the Y position. So what I did is placed it to the left with part of the sun hidden by the left edge of the photograph and the top of the mountain. Now let's take a look at the amount of sun rays that I decided to apply. I chose 23, so I brought it up a little bit, not a lot. And then let's take a look at the look. I chose 30 for that. The number of sun rays I reduced down to 2, and I played with that quite a bit, trying to find something that would look realistic. I didn't want it to look artificial, so that was the one that I chose. Now on to length, which means the length of the sun ray. And so that brings it deeper into the image. And then warmth, I brought up to 64 because I wanted it to warm the image with those rays. Now onto the sun section. I set a radius of 43, so not much larger than the default. I reduced the glow radius of the sun down to 41, making it a bit smaller, as you can see on the left. And then the glow amount I reduced as well. And as far as warmth goes, I brought that all the way up to 100 because I wanted that to be a real warm feeling over here, reflected by the warmth in the foliage and the light reflecting off the houses. Now, penetration has to do with how, well, it's going to be easier to show you. Let me show you what I chose. I chose 49, but let me show you what happens. If I go all the way to 100, you see how it pushes itself in front of the mountain and everything basically in that part of the photograph. If I bring it all the way back to 0, it disappears. And as I bring it up, you can see how it looks like it's coming from behind the hill. And as I push it further and further to the right, it moves itself in front of whatever's in the photograph. So it's pretty clever in that regard. So let me go back to what I had before, which is 49. So it's just behind the mountain with a little bit of overlap, and I've got the rays overlapping. And then randomness, I chose 58, and that has to do with the randomness of the way the rays are laid out. And I explored a number of different settings and found 58 to be the one. Let me show you what randomness looks like. Here's some different variations, and you might find one that you like better, but I found that for what I was doing, this worked the best. So the last thing that I added was dehaze. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to remove some of the haze, but I also wanted to darken it just slightly. And I found that setting the dehaze to 40 gave me that look. So this is the image before, and this is the image after. A pretty big difference. And I feel like the Sunrays filter assisted me in creating a more powerful and beautiful image. This is Chris Anson. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, and thanks for watching.